Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm so excited for season 2 and the great guests you're going to hear from, their struggles, how they overcame their struggles, their triumphs. Through personal and business life, I think they're tied together, and we're going to share great stories about that. This show isn't just about me. It takes a lot of good people working with me. Among them is my partner, H7 Network, and Clay Hicks. Building relationships, building community is the mission of H7 Network. They want to create a network of champions where everybody wins. Find out more at h7network.com. And we hope to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you through our show. Enjoy the show. We'll talk to you on the other side. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I always have servants on here, but I've just realized I've got a special servant here. She not only got the education, but she preaches it and she practices and educates it. Welcome to the show, Brooke.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's so good to be here.
Well, we talked a little bit before this show and learned a lot. I want to dive right into emotional intelligence.
Yeah, okay, let's do it. Okay, yeah, I love EQ. I think that it's the most underrated skill set for any CEO advisor that I ever work with, partly just because of the awareness it creates for what they want and what they're going for in their life, but two, how they treat other people. CEOs are stewards of so many people in their lives, in their homes, in their companies. And without that emotional intelligence and being able to emotionally regulate when hard things happen, when good things happen, and putting themselves in other people's shoes before responding, I think is the most critical skill set any leader could actually learn. I think there was actually a mastermind that I was just recently a part of, and it was so fascinating to be able to see the participants that were in that mastermind, and not from a judgmental standpoint, but just from an observation standpoint, see what CEOs and leaders were self-aware and which ones weren't, and how that self-awareness actually sabotaged so many of their sales, so much of how they advise their team, so many of if they even had a team. And I just think it's incredibly underrated, but can help in so many situations, social as well as economical.
You said a great word, steward. Can we dive in that a little bit? Because steward and serving go together.
Yeah.
In my book. I hope you believe that. I'm sure you do. How important is a CEO doing stewarding?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that at the end of the day, it's not the money that a CEO makes, but it's how his employees will, or his or her employees will talk about how they treat them. And I think a really good steward does two things. One, they see people as they really are. And two, they see people as they really will become. And as they start treating them as the person that they can become, that individual within the team starts growing into the actual dynamite all-star A player that they've always wanted in their company, but they never actually knew how to cultivate. Well, it's not actually that hard to cultivate. It's what it is you looking at, okay, what do they do best? What do they love to do? And how does that associate to our economic output in our company? And if I can align what they do really well with what they love, that has a price tag on it that will increase our revenue and grow our bottom line, it changes everything. But a good steward helps see their managing team, their direct report, their employees, all of their advisors as people that they will become, and they treat them as such.
So I love this. So you're talking about CEOs building other leaders.
Yeah.
That's a powerful step. I've not heard that before. That is so powerful. And I'm glad you brought revenue up.
Yeah.
Because people talk about this emotional intelligence and stewarding and serving, but we have to make money, right?
Yeah, it's so true. Well, and I think that emotional intelligence also has to do with claiming your identity. So there was one CEO that was doing about 15 million that I was advising. And because she hadn't claimed this role of expert, even though she had grown this company from 0 to 15 million in 3 years, who does that? She was incredible, but she didn't understand claiming the identity of a CEO and what that meant, and that she was an expert. And because she was an expert, she could lead these people. And because she was a leader, they would follow. And without claiming that identity, then other people are going to treat her as she perceives herself. And I think going back to this idea of like emotional intelligence and what it has to do with identity is when leaders are emotionally aware of how they view themselves and how they view others, it changes everything. I mean, take for example, Kobe Bryant. Like, how did people view him on the court because of how he saw himself? Like, he was the Mamba mentality. That's who he was. So who is the Mamba mentality? The Mamba mentality, what the Mamba mentality does is strong work ethic. I'm on the court hours past when I'm supposed to. I'm doing things that most rookies aren't doing. I am shooting hundreds of shots every single day before the game, even if like my shooting percentage was above 80% the last game. Like, he's doing certain things because of the identity that he claims. And when we claim that identity, it has so much to do with our revenue, because if we're not claiming the identity that we want, then we're out of alignment. And if we are claiming the identity, then we're going to do certain behaviors. And I always like to look at CEOs and say, okay, what is the identity that you want to claim? And then what are you really good at? And then how do we combine those things and make sure that what you're spending your time on actually increases your revenue? Because revenue will actually decrease with CEOs and companies when they're out of alignment with who they are.
That's a very cool statement, because out of alignment is a lot. Your car, your back, all those different things.
Yeah.
I want to bring up the Kobe thing, because that's a great story.
Yeah.
But audience, what she's talking about, he was the CEO of his business. Kobe Bryant was a business, right?
Yeah. He was such a good businessman too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love that. Let's talk about your business. Name of the business, what you do. And
yeah, so it's Powerhouse Leaders HQ, and me and my business partner, her name is Cassie, she's wonderful. So we actually scale CEOs, not companies. But in turn, the companies actually do scale, which is really, really fun. So we actually focus on 4 main things. We focus on the identity piece of like helping them understand who they are and what they want. You'd be surprised that like most CEOs don't know how to answer that question of like, what do I actually want? And they don't have enough white space or people in their lives to hold space for them to actually help them to identify what it is that they want. But before you identify what you want, you really have to attach it to an identity of who you are. Because if you want something that's different than who you are, it will be out of alignment and you'll quit it, or it will burn the next few years. And so we always start with identity. So identity and what you want is the first pillar. The second pillar is economic output. So we look at what you're really good at combined with like what you enjoy doing the most, and see how we can keep you in that zone of genius for days, for years, so that you're enjoying it. And then the third thing is where Cassie comes in. She does resource optimization. So she looks at how the CEO spends their time, their money, and their energy, so that they're not overworking and not spending like over 20 hours a week. Because guess what happens? Like most CEOs, when they're spending more than like 80 hours, their identity is work. Their identity is CEO. So then what is sabotaged because there's no other identity? The role of father, the role of husband, the role of like brother. And all of their relationships are completely sabotaged because the only identity they started owning was that of CEO. And like, we just know that no other success in life can compensate for failure in the home. So we're looking at how can we scale CEOs in a way where they are making a lot of money, they're making so much impact, but their personal lives are a reflection of that. And it's healthy, it's stable, it's good. So the resource optimization is huge. And then the last thing is leadership. That goes to the EQ stuff. Like, if they're leading in their homes and they're leading with their employees in the way, following the golden rule and really regulating their emotions and treating people as the capable beings that they're capable of becoming, then everything's going to change. All floors are going to be raised. But with those 4 pillars, like, it elevates the CEO to know who they are and what they want, how they can make a lot of money doing what they love, making sure that out of all the things that they're doing that they love, their time and their energy and their money is spent doing the things that will still keep them as the best father and the best husband and not sabotaging their home. And then number 4, they're actually leading out in their homes and their businesses in very ethical and integrous ways that have to do with their identity.
If you're a CEO, reach out to her, because you said a sentence that I'll never forget. Doing what you love, not just doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And we forget CEOs are humans, like me and you.
Yeah.
And humans, we need support, and that's what you offer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think CEOs are often the only identity that they're claiming is that of CEO, but there's so much more to them than that, just that one identity. And so many of the CEOs that we work with, they're either wanting to get to 8 figures and they're like, but I don't want, I've seen what it takes to get where I am right now, over 7 figures. And I don't know if I want the personal sacrifices that come with 8 figures or the freedom that will be eliminated from my life. Or we work with the CEO that's like, I'm actually super close to 8 figures, but like I'm in a pivot window where I've outgrown the identity that I claimed years ago. And so it's just really fun to help assist these CEOs in a way that helps them see that like there's more than just business to life. And there's this leadership that can be effectual in helping them have more money, but helping them have I love understanding and seeing the examples of CEOs that have their crap together behind closed doors and have their crap together in the face of the company. I just think it's something to honor and respect. And most of the people that are struggling behind their personal homes and closed doors are the ones that never did the identity work to figure out, like, who am I? I mean, Ben Hardy, just as a last example really quick, I'm in his mastermind, and he wrote a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X, and I love it. And he gave this story of Ja Morant. I love the NBA, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
And he gave the story of Ja Morant that, like, because Ja did not claim the identity of who he was, like, if I am an NBA all-star that wins championships and rings, I do certain things because of that identity. Because Ja Morant necessarily hadn't claimed that identity in its fullness, or if he had, he forgot, he's okay to walk into a bar and sabotage his entire brand and his entire business because he forgot who he was in that moment. And me and Cassie love helping these CEOs understand who they are, what they want, how to resource optimize to make sure that, like, nothing that's important or significant or long lasting in their life is being compensated for because of something that's going to die when they die. And just making sure that they're leading in their homes and their lives. And does that attribute to more money? Absolutely, it has to, because my number one value is economic. Yeah. But it leads to more significant things like becoming the person that they want to become. So it's just a lot of fun.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the Ja story, because we just talked about Kobe. What a difference in identities.
Yes, so
Kobe
different.
would never have been caught doing something like that. Love that.
Yeah.
You said something, identity changes. CEOs have to learn to do that, because as they level up, their identity changes.
Yes.
And that's what you do.
Yes.
Talk about that. I'd love that.
Yeah, so like I said, with the pillars, the powerhouse pillars before, the framework is like those 1, 2, 3, 4 things: identity, and then the economic output, and then making sure that they resource optimize, and then their leadership. But then actually what's so fun is we repeat the cycle and go from 4 to 1. Because as they start leading and showing up with this identity, it's not bad, nor is it wrong. In fact, it's actually quite common to outgrow an identity and have to take on a new one. So it's really important to, like, take a CEO through this process so that when they go through it again, they can do it on their own with the right tools and resources, because identities can be outgrown. And I think that, I mean, there's so many examples of that. We had a client that we were just advising just last week who she had outgrown the identity of CEO, and she wanted to be known and identified as a creator. Because if she was known for that, the economic output in the company would explode, because it's what she's good at and it's what she enjoys. She doesn't actually like and enjoy leading and managing all these teams as a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. What she actually enjoys is creating. And if we put her in that identity of a creator, she's going to do very different things than if she owned the identity of a CEO. So we mapped out an entire business plan, which was actually quite simple as it relates to how can you be in alignment with the identity of a creator, because you've outgrown the identity of a CEO. And did the identity of a CEO get her where she wants to be? Absolutely. But now she's ready for the next upgrade, which is that of creator, which it's just a lot of fun to play with, honestly.
Brooke, you're brilliant. No, I mean, to think about that story she just said, audience, it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Because she's the boss, but she said, I don't want to be there. She would never succeed until you made that pivot for her. I call it, I don't know what you would call it, but that change.
Yeah,
and
it was a pivot.
We all have identity changes.
Yeah, yeah.
Me, you, everybody, right?
Yeah, and there's pivot windows in all areas of our life, because if we're progressing as we all should be, there's different pivots that we're going to go through, and some that we don't want to identify with anymore, and other identities that we want to claim. But if there's not a framework to follow for that, especially when it's not attached to most driven, high achieving CEOs, if it's not attached to economic output, it's really hard to know how to claim that. So to identify with something that you love and that you enjoy doing and that makes you a lot of money, it's like my bread and butter. I salivate over it. It's so fun.
Look at you smile. I love it. And this is personal, audience. This happens in your personal life. Claim your identity personally.
Yeah.
She's giving you free advice. And with that, give a shout out how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, yeah. So they can go on to Powerhouse Leaders HQ. And there it's where me and Cassie actually host a mastermind. It's a year-long mastermind. And in 3 days, we actually start off with a 3-day event. And that's in those 3 days is where we help them understand who they are, what they want, and then create the blueprint for their next upcoming millions, or even if it's not money related, how they're going to show up as that CE role in the leadership of their homes or the leadership of their companies.
I figured you did masterminds because you're doing that with me today.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So much.
It's so fun.
And I'm going to do a challenge because I'm loving this girl. My wife, I still love you, by the way. I'm going to put a challenge out there. The first 2 people that reach out to Brooke and ask about her program, I'm going to send a gift to you. So she's going to reach out to me and say, you mentioned this podcast or my name. I want to send them a gift.
Thank you.
Because I want people to reach out to you.
That's so kind. Can I ask you one question?
You can ask me anything.
Okay, so before we wrap up, I'm curious to know how you've seen claiming identity in your life affect your personal economic outsized results in your company.
Fantastic question. I was thinking about that as you're talking. Me becoming a podcast host has changed my identity, changed my mission, because now my mission is to get serving out there to the world. Don't sell, serve, build relationships, and the sales will come.
Wow.
And now my world has changed, where I'm involved with people like you, meeting people like you, and it's just changed my revenue without even knowing it, which you're talking about today, and I'm doing in my podcast. Take care of people, serve them. Don't put a scoreboard on it. Just be a leader, steward people, work with people. And I always tell people, they ask me, well, what's it going to cost? Nothing. Go serve at a soup kitchen. Go open the door for that lady that needs help with her groceries.
Yeah.
Service can be free, but it can be very powerful.
Wow. I can tell you're so in alignment with who you are because of the fun and the energy and the enlightenment that's coming as you're discussing this. It's really, really powerful.
I thank you, because it's, and we talked earlier about some things and listening.
Yeah.
And you and Cassie have to really listen, because all this information, these pillars, you've got to gather a lot of data.
Yes. It's so true. It's so true.
So talk about listening.
Yeah, so actually one of the things that my friends, my family, and even all CEOs that I advise, they say that my number one skill set that I have owned as part of my identity is my ability to investigate. So I ask a lot of really deep and meaningful questions that really expose what's happening inside human beings that help them come to their own conclusions.
Right.
And so as important as listening is, I think what's even better and even more lucrative in terms of skill sets is asking really, really good questions that you don't know the answers to. Because my purpose in asking questions isn't to actually get you to say the right thing. My purpose in asking questions is to help you to come to some conclusions that were inside you that you weren't aware of. Emotional intelligence.
That's brilliant.
Thank you.
That's going to help me in my podcast. I'm doing that now, but I need to do more of that. Because now you're invested in them by asking, so I want to learn about you. How many kids do you have? That question. Oh, I have 3 kids, beautiful boys. I've learned something about you.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, what color are you wearing? I say, I'm wearing green today.
Yes.
I already know the answer.
Yes.
Audience, free tip again. I love doing that because I want people to listen and get excited like I am.
Yeah.
Because that's why I love doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
It's all about learning.
Yeah.
So I say in my podcast, I'm just going to education, motivation, inspiration. If you hit all three, you've got a great podcast. By the way, we hit that today in tenfold. I always like to end our show with a piece of advice that you can help my audience in their journey, that's helped you in your journey to be so brilliant and successful, you and Cassie, and what you do.
It's a really, really good question. A number one piece of advice, I think it's really important. I was just talking to Cassie about this on the way over. To teach through frameworks. Russell Brunson does this really, really well. But I think that as you create frameworks for what you're really good at and follow a framework of like 1, 2, 3, 4, steps always actually inherently add value. And they also help your listener or the person that you're advising to follow through on what's actually they need to do in order to get X result. And so I think it's really important, along with the skill set of asking questions, another skill set that you can try to adopt and acquire in your professional life as well as your personal life is that of frameworks and really putting things in a condensed manner so you can articulate and bless the world through steps which inherently add value. So whatever it is that you're good at, what's the framework for it and how can it be repeated by someone else in order to make someone else's life better?
Forgot to tell you that we stop with you.
Oh,
my
perfect.
My goal is always to end with my guests leaving something like that.
That's awesome.
Because it's like the mic drop to me.
Yeah.
And it's worked really well over 100 shows. That was so incredible for me. It's one of my best shows.
Oh,
and I love that you asked me a question.
Oh, see, if I was doing what I really love, I would be actually the one hosting it. But I loved your questions.
Did it work out for you?
That was amazing.
Was it? Oh, good.
That was amazing. And I have a lot to learn from you. I would love to get you on my podcast when we have.
Amen.
Yeah, because.
Almost an amen, sister. I'm sounding like.
Oh,
I'm
love
61,
it.
I'm not 20.
I love it.
That's cool.
I love it. No, and your questions and your listening and your social awareness was so. It was really, really amazing. I can't I know that's what I do for a living, but when I see people practicing it, I'm like, they've had experiences in life that are going to get them far, and that social skill set of just being other people aware is it can't be understated.
Amen.
You're a terrific podcast host.
Oh, thank you. And you know what's, as you're saying that, and as I'm going through our show, I'm like, I'm learning so much from you. I've got my own coaching here.
Yeah.
But it's, of course I'm not going to pay you, but I'm going to promote you. You're going to promote me.
Yeah.
It's such a win-win. It doesn't always have to be dollars.
Yeah.
Which is why I said that thing about serving.
Yeah.
I get it all the time, Brooke.
Yeah.
It's like, well, how much, I had a guy come with me a month ago. Hey, I want to be on your podcast. How much money will I make?
Yeah.
I said, Tony, I'm busy through 2024.
Yeah.
Oh, how can a guy say, no, I'm still all good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bring a guy with that mindset, that identity, which you have to love that.
Yeah.
You start using that.
So who is your customer base on your podcast?
It's going to be business owners because I did it specifically doing business with a servant's heart. Yeah. But what spills over, and you did it so well, the personal side is part of business. Yeah. You're going through a divorce. Yeah. That CEO's going to have issues. He needs Brooke and Cassie to unpack all that. Because you can't change it. You can't go, I'm going to stay with my wife to keep my business going. It's still going to be unhappy.
Yeah, it's so true.
I've learned that, and when you start talking about that, I'm like, this girl gets it.
Our prime spot is the pivot window before the divorce happens. That's our avatar. If we can prevent the chaos from happening inside of their homes because of the success that's happening outside their homes, we love doing that.
Have you done that?
Yeah, we've done it multiple times. It's been awesome.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
So I'm a CEO. I tell you is that we're talking, you're asking questions, hey, my marriage is not good, I'm thinking divorce type of thing. You help unpack that and help him with his marriage?
Yeah, so it's not actually directly the problem with marriage that I'm attacking. I'm looking at their identity that they've claimed that they haven't actually aligned with that is causing them to not show up as the husband that they want to be. So I'm not going into marriage therapy. I'm going into identity and what they're really good at and how they're showing up in the marriage like that.
And you don't fall into that, oh, you're not a therapist.
Right.
That is,
yeah.
Give me Cassie's email. I gotta tell her how awesome you are. I'm kidding. I'm half kidding, but no, I mean you're both awesome because you both are a
She's so
team.
good.
Yeah.
Well, CEOs. I mean, she's worked with portfolios 40 million, 60 million, 90 million.
Yeah.
And the number one thing that they're paying for that they don't even realize is there's no one holding space to listen, and they just feel isolated on their own island with all of these problems. It's fascinating. So, like, Cassie's a really, really good listener as well.
Well, you have to be a coach.
Yeah.
If you're not a good listener, and I've had coaches before I started my podcast get on a call with me. It's like, okay, you have this problem, this problem, this problem. Well, how do you know? Well, you're broke, you're in debt, your company's not doing well, but
yeah,
here, $10,000, I'll do 3 months, whatever.
Yeah.
And then ask me one question. They just did LinkedIn. Yeah. So that's why, or we hope we have time. These guys go to these LinkedIn profiles. Oh, Steve, Joe does this. No, ask that question when you're on the call with them.
Yeah.
Because texts get misread, emails get misread.
Yeah.
This doesn't.
Yeah,
Our
it's
body
so
language,
true.
right?
It's so true.
When you said identity, I'm like, God, she gets. And you can do it on Zoom. People are like, Zoom. No, you can see body language on Zoom.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be in person. So.
Yeah. No, it's really fascinating.
You have fun what you do. I can see that. That's why this is a good show.
It's the best.
Yeah.
So, do you know where I'm going next?
I'll walk out with you. These are so. Go ahead. These are such deep chairs. It's like I'm a short guy.
So where are you? And it's Steve, right?
Steve, yeah. I'm going to
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Cassie's from San Diego.
Oh, no kidding. The best because the person was cutting off. I kind of paraphrased, sure, I tell you. Yeah. I said, hey, tell me. I said, that's good to know, but I love hearing my guests. It's not for the audience. I hear me. Yeah. I see 1090. I was 90% you. Okay. So you're going to be easy. You're going to be in the far right chair.
Far right. Where did I have some trash can?
Yeah, right there next to see there the cooler.
Hey Steve, tell me about your podcast. Who's your listener?
It's business owners.
Amazing.
And, my friends that are network marketing, personal business owners to, I've got CEO coaches and CEOs. It's doing business with a servant's heart.
Doing business with a servant's heart. I love that.
Thank you.
Where are you located?
San Jose.
Oh, so cool. Okay.
Yeah, you're from Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
Are you there now?
I am. Third generation local. Proud representative.
Amen. I just drove through there to go to Fallbrook.
Oh yeah.
You know Fallbrook?
I do.
Yeah, we stayed at a resort.
Sorry, right or left?
You're right there. Perfect. Yeah, we stayed at for my cousin's birthday. We took a Winnebago with 12 of us.
Oh
drove
my
down to San
gosh,
Jose.
how fun is
And
that?
this place was like 12 acres. We just stayed in the house for 5 days and cooked. Jacuzzi, pool, all that stuff.
That sounds
Long
perfect.
drive. I'm not a big driver, but it was fun. Yeah, get it all set up.
Okay,
So this is going to be easy for me because I know a little bit about your business, but we'll talk
Awesome.
more about resources. See, I was listening.
resource
That's you,
optimization.
That's what you do.
That's what
So
I do.
We'll delve into that.
Awesome.
Of course, talk about the show. The company, the show, your business.
Awesome.
And, I forgot to tell Brooke. So what I love to do at the very end
Yep,
is, hey, through your journey, what piece of advice can you give my audience?
perfect,
Do your thought, and then pause for 5 seconds, and then we'll stop the recording.
perfect.
So you have the mic drop of, they've heard all this great stuff about your background, and she just gave me that. I need to reach out to her. Leave me alone. I've got a girl. C-A-S-S-I-E.
Yeah, you're right. Right on the money.
Any questions?
No.
We'll start with your background.
Perfect. I trust you. You have a very calming energy.
Oh,
It's
thank
good.
you. For telling an Italian man, my Italian preference is like,
Yeah.
love it.